Hey everyone out there, how's it going? Welcome to Screen Speak. It is the podcast that's all about movies, life, and apparently a wedding in this episode, and much more. If you have not done so already, I start every podcast off like this, but this one's going to be no exception. I got to put those plugs in. Follow Screen Speak on whatever device you're listening to on, if it's the computer, it's your phone, wherever, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you choose to get your podcast at, please follow Screen Speak on there. Help grow this podcast. You can also check out the social media, not on Twitter or anything like that, but it is on Instagram. It's on Instagram. It's also on Facebook. We have a community group there, so you can interact with myself, other fans of the podcast, fans of movies, fans of life, and you can ask anything and everything that you want to right over there. So please go ahead and check out the Facebook community group and the Instagram for the podcast end of plugs. Let's do this. All right, so this episode is sort of a two-part episode, if you will. Part one, I'm going to be talking about the movie As Good As It Gets with the late, oh my God, I was about to say the late, great Jack Nicholson. He has not passed away, thank the heavens, and knock on wood. I hope I didn't kill him from saying that. So sorry. Anyway, it's a two-part episode because part one, we're talking about As Good As It Gets. I have my lovely wife on the podcast with me.
Hello, people. I'm here. The wedding that he's talking about involves me. I'm glad.
Did I actually say that this was a wedding special yet?
Yes, you did.
Oh, I did in the intro. That's right.
Yes, you did. Go ahead.
Okay, so part one, As Good As It Gets. That's the third time I've said that. Part two is a wedding special. And the reason that these two are tied together...
That's why the bride... not to be anymore, but the actual bride is here.
As if that wasn't apparent, but thank you, sweetie.
I guess he loves me.
It's safe to say from all that paperwork and the ring that's on your finger. So, yeah.
I'm not a single lady. I'm not a single lady.
I'm not a single man. I am a married man.
Whatever now.
Excellent start to the podcast here.
I'm sorry for my singing skills. Go ahead, Jordan.
Okay, so the reason that these go hand in hand, my wedding and this movie, is because I actually incorporated this movie into the vows to my wife in this wedding. And she had actually never seen this movie prior to me doing that in the wedding during the ceremony. So I just felt it appropriate. I was like, hey, we should watch this movie. We can talk about it. And then we can also do a play-by-play of our wedding because A, people that know us personally will actually probably think it's interesting. And B, I just think, sharing romantic stories and that sort of thing is an eye-opener to the audience to get to know a different side of myself. And it's also just interesting for anybody that, is thinking about like what did they think about after they got married, like that kind of thing, or what did those people think? So
even before they get married, they know when they were getting married.
Yeah, all of it. And then the last part, and this is probably like the most sentimental part of the whole reason why behind this episode, is that I felt like, wouldn't it be nice to have a living document, a piece of history, so to speak, recorded of our fresh reactions as possible to what our thoughts were leading into the wedding, the day of, all of that, because, like a year from now even, we're probably not going to remember all those fine details.
Jordan probably won't because he has such a bad memory. That's why I'm like, yeah, let's record it because then I can just make you listen.
Wait, what are we doing again?
Shut up.
You see what I did there? Terrible jokes.
Yes.
The key to a healthy marriage. Because I thought even like a year from now, 5 years, 10 years, I'm not going to remember all the little nuanced details. And I think it'd be great to like go back and revisit. Hang on, she's moving my chair. What's happening? Hang on. What are we doing? We're moving. No, tell them what you just did.
I just made him come closer to me so I could be closer to the microphone.
Because I don't have a dual mic setup yet with the audio just yet,
and
but it's pending.
What he's doing right now is trying to convince me that's really needed.
It is.
I guess. Anyway, go ahead. Not a question to be discussed in public.
What do you mean in public? This is a private conversation. Nobody hears this.
Sure.
Okay. I just think it's like, it'd be nice for us to be able to revisit something like this years from now and be like, what were we going through? What was going through our minds that day and just everything. So for all those reasons, that's why I felt it appropriate to do an episode like this. And I hope you enjoy likewise. So, Izola, unless you have something else to add, I think
we... If you don't care about our wedding, you can just stop on...
Yeah, I guess when we get to the wedding part, yeah, just like be like, oh, no, they're talking wedding crap, and just boop, shut it off, and then, check out the notification on your phone because you hit follow, and you're not going to miss other episodes. So
sure,
that's the hope. All right, let's go ahead and do this. I actually have to look up, because I tend to do this when I'm talking about movies. I need to look up the synopsis for this movie. So 1 second here. As good as it gets. All right.
I like the name of the movie, by the way.
Why do you like the name of the movie?
It's creative, and it's like I don't know how to explain. It's as good as it gets. It's kind of how I feel about the wedding. Aww. Spoiler alert.
It's safe to say it went well. She didn't leave me yet. Okay. So here's the synopsis for As Good as It Gets. First, hang on. So first, the movie came out in December 6th of 1997, right around Oscar season. Jack Nicholson did win the Best Actor Oscar for this movie. I think it was up for a couple others, as well as Helen Hunt and Greg Kinnear, both up for supporting, something like that. Anyways, here's the synopsis. Melvin Udall, played by Jack Nicholson, is an obsessive-compulsive writer of romantic fiction who's rude to everyone he meets, including his gay neighbor Simon, which is played by Greg Kinnear. But when he has to look after Simon's dog, he begins to soften, and if still not completely over his problems, finds he can conduct a relationship with the only waitress, played by Helen Hunt, at the local diner who will serve him. That's a general synopsis.
Yeah,
I'd say there's more to it.
She's the only one that accepts to deal with him because he basically sucks.
Okay, so let's just get into this I want to start this on a positive before we talk about the characters just yet.
I didn't say anything negative, but he does.
You just said he sucks.
Yeah,
the character of Melvin sucks.
No. Yeah, he did.
No. Yes, he did. What do you? Yes or no? I think
he does, but who doesn't? Go ahead.
Right. So I want to just first start by talking about Jack Nicholson, because Jack Nicholson to me is what makes the performance work when we talk about Melvin and everything like that. But what I'm curious for you specifically, one, I know you're not nearly obsessed with movies as much as myself. You don't really know actors' names and things like that. It's not a slight. It's just a fact.
I know.
Had you ever seen Jack Nicholson in a movie before?
I don't remember. And I think it means I didn't, because I think I would remember.
Because he does have a very distinct personality, right? You could tell, even like outside of the character, his way of speaking and how he carries himself. No?
I don't know, because I haven't seen him before, I think.
So to me, Jack Nicholson, and sadly, I think he is one of those actors where he really is like of his generation. He's one of the coolest actors in Hollywood. He has so many wild stories just like as a person, and his personality in and of itself is almost larger than life. And I feel like at the time in his career when he made the movie, part of what makes his character work is that because at that point I would say he was already like a screen legend because he had so many other accolades and things like that. You kind of still stick with him, charisma and all, even though he does all these like despicable things.
Oh, I see. People like him.
Yeah, because I think if you were to put like a relative unknown person in there that didn't already have a history of screen presence for years, so for people to sort of build up. 3 times more. Yeah.
I know. It makes
Does that make sense?
It does.
And I was just curious.
But I didn't hate him. That's what I'm saying. Like, I didn't know him before, and he did suck. But it's not in a bad way, because he also comes out as really just like too honest, kind of.
Yeah, too
much real.
He doesn't have a filter.
Exactly. He just says what he thinks, and it sucks, but he at least says it.
So, but I mean, all that being said, like with Jack Nicholson, you know, let's just call this the first Jack Nicholson movie that you've seen.
I think it was.
What did you think of him?
he was a good actor, I guess. I am not able to judge technically Jordan. I liked the acting and like the how do you say the guy he was.
The character.
The character, yes, I liked that, but
What I love about you watching movies, by the way, Screen Speak audience, this is an exclusive on my wife and kind of how she watches a lot of movies. I make her watch a lot of movies, and she lovingly watches them with me. But what I actually really admire her about is that she hardly ever wants to see a trailer. She doesn't really always want to know a story. Like, if I just tell her, hey, this is the title, and it's really good, she'll just be like, I'll just go in blind.
yeah.
I think that's even cooler. Like, you're really just truly going in open-ended, just, I don't know what I'm signing up for.
Yeah, I kind of like to do that because first I know you enough and I know you know me enough to choose me.
I would hope so.
Yeah, so it's like you choose like movies that I think I will like. And not only that, I think when I see trailers or if I let you talk about it, I will just have expectations in my head. And the expectations are not really something good to have, I think. I think it's good to just like, let's see what the world has to show me.
Sounds like it's as good as it gets.
Exactly.
Cheers to that.
Yay.
Oh, wait, let's make sure that clean
I'm afraid
comes
I will
across.
break the glass, but
Is this actually glass?
this one is glass. I didn't get the crystal ones because I didn't want to take the chance to break it.
You know, it seems weird when you say the crystal ones like that. So, for context for the audience, we got, of course, several things for our wedding.
Including crystal
Yes, and amongst them,
wine glasses. Thank you, Amanda. If you are listening that, thank you.
I think Amanda listens. Amanda, if you're out there, thank you for the wine glasses. Your thank you card will come in the mail along with the others.
I'm not using them right now just because I didn't want to break them on the office while recording this.
But that said, I don't know anything about crystal. I'll be honest, I thought it was plastic. I couldn't really tell.
The crystal one?
I think so. If I'm thinking of the right one, I might be stupid, but I think I thought at first, like, glance, like, with texture and stuff, I was like, is this plastic?
Ay. Forgive him, God. Let's keep moving.
Choices.
Ay.
Okay. I want to talk about the characters now. You know, I started with Jack, but I got to talk about the character. His character, Melvin Udall. Starting with that opening. Don't you remember the opening of the movie? How could you forget? You have the beaming, glowing lady coming out. Oh, it's a beautiful day. It's tulip season. And then within seconds, she sees Jack and she's like, oh, son of a bitch. And she shuts her door. And then he starts tormenting a dog.
The poor dog. I kind of started hating him, like...
I think it's
as it started, just because he can I say?
Oh, yeah, this movie's been out since 97.
Okay, people, so you had your time.
Yeah.
So, like, he throws the dog on the trash.
Like in the trash chute.
Yes, and then the dog goes all the way down to the basement trash can. Poor little thing. It's like, I'm like, Jordan, this is the good move that you are showing me? This is the movie. Like, I was kind of like, didn't like that.
Well, I think it's a brilliant way to open a movie and introduce a character. It's certainly, to me, one of the more memorable character introductions because you're introducing someone doing something just so crap right away. It's like, you wonder, I think, subconsciously as an audience member, oh my God, like, what is this guy going to be like throughout the entire movie?
Yeah.
So it makes you wonder, but I think it's a great start because you can already tell to me, like, he's cynical, but he does it with amusement a little bit. Like, there's some comedy in his anger towards the dog and everything like that.
Yeah, because it doesn't make sense.
No, not really.
Yeah.
But it is pretty funny when he picks it up and it just starts urinating. He's just like, oh.
Yeah.
But moving on from that, we learn that he is... amongst probably many diagnosable mental disorders, he is most certainly obsessive-compulsive disorder. He has OCD.
Yeah.
Do you know much about that? Or have you ever seen depictions of that on TV or know people with that?
I don't think I know anybody with that except for...
The guy, Melvin. Melvin.
Yeah. And... but I have heard about it. But, like, his is, like, really high level. He really needs some treatment.
I thought you would like that he has an entire cabinet full of just soap. He's very clean.
Oh, I like it how not only clean, but like kind of organized he was.
Extremely organized.
I might be a little bit OCD.
I was going to say, are you sure?
Myself.
Because he packs a suitcase extremely well. His kitchen's
I'm
very tidy.
I'm jealous because he's better than me. I wish. I would be happy on his house, though.
But he also works from home, so I feel like that makes it easier for him.
I don't know about that.
I don't know. But the core question that I have for you, if we're just talking about his character as a whole, is he is no doubt an asshole. Let's just call it what it is. There is many traits of him that are certainly a-hole-ish. However, I also think the movie makes a strong case that he's actually very lovable, but he has a hard time expressing it. And it makes his life essentially a living hell because of that constant mental turmoil that he has. So my question for you then on him is, though he's an asshole, did you ultimately find him to be lovable or have any sort of redemption to him?
I did. I think so. I never hated him. I like him. I never did dislike him. Like, I disliked some things that he did.
Such as?
Throwing the dog on the trash. If he throw a human, it would be okay. I'm kidding, humans that are out there listening, but, a dog? No.
What other things did you like that he did?
Taking care of the dog, even though he kind of, hated doing it because of, at the beginning, just,
I love
he has never had something or someone at his house, and he accepted to take care of the dog, so I thought that was cute. He accepted just the fact that, after he started getting a little bit more sweet with the dog thing, just the fact that he was open to try to be a better person, to be able to have a relationship. Mm-hmm. That says a lot.
I also think, I think a couple of things that just sparked just now. One, it is interesting that he has all these sort of despicable traits and whatnot, but he actually makes a very successful living writing romance novels, specifically tailored to women.
Yeah.
And yet he can't connect with one to save his life.
Because it shows that he has the loving part on him, but he just is not able to socialize and to put it out there. So writing is totally different than acting on it.
Very true. Gotta throw one of the greatest quotes in the movie. I'm not saying I agree with it, screen speak, but I mean, if we're talking really top quotable stuff from movies, the part where he goes into the publisher to ask for his publisher's doctor for the boy, and the one secretary sees him, she's like, "Can I just ask you a question, please?" And he's like, "Oh, Jesus." And she's like, "How do you write women so well?" And still to this day, it puts a smile on my face because it's delivered by Jack Nicholson, is when he says, I think of a man and I take away reason and accountability. And she just has the craziest look. And then just goes into the elevator and boom. It's that is a mic drop moment if I've ever seen one. Sorry, women out there. I'm not saying I agree with him, but it is funny. Now, I want to touch on the dog quick. I love when the dog... To me, the dog is definitely a character in the movie, because it's the instrument of the movie that brings out his kind of soft spot that eventually does extend to the people that are in his life. But I could almost see a short film of this is when the dog first comes into his place. I love that whole sequence. He's looking for it. He's kind of ugh, is it around? And the dog, I wonder how they trained him to do that on camera. God knows how many takes that would take to do that. But I just love when the dog's there and you can tell that it's feeding off of his energy of I don't think I'm supposed to be here, and I don't think this guy likes me, and he's like, we don't have any dog food here. We don't want no dog food here. It's comical.
Yeah, poor little thing.
But it is eventually super cute when he starts to realize, oh shit, I actually really, really like this dog.
And the dog really, really likes him more than
his
his
owner. It walks over
owner.
the cracks in the sidewalk.
Yeah, just like him.
It's so sweet.
The dogs get as crazy as him.
This movie has such a sweet underbelly to it. I mean, since we're talking about pets, I thought that analogy was appropriate. But it really does. Because there's so many just genuine moments of heart in this movie amidst all the comedy and everything else that I really, really like. But anyways, more on Melvin here in a second. Melvin, also, I touched on how he's like cynical and whatnot. You could say he has like a very sort of pessimistic, hateful outlook towards life, but I think it's funny. Now, I don't know if you always think this, because sometimes in our own personal life, Izola tells me I can be a bit of a pessimist. And I do it sometimes as like humorful, or like I try to be humorful with it sometimes, but Izola doesn't pick up on that.
Because it's not funny.
But see, sometimes it is to me. And I'm like, I just, like, you never pick up on...
No, on the movie, I thought it was.
But not me.
Sometimes, Jordan. Sometimes.
I don't know. I just like I seem to gravitate towards characters in movies that say dark things but with an edge of humor to it. I really, really enjoy it because
really does.
It's just, I think on a side of myself it's relatable, but then it just feels more real to me humor wise than something that's a little less, hard around the edges.
Yeah.
Okay. What did you think of Greg Kinnear?
Who's Greg Kinnear?
Greg Kinnear plays Simon, the neighbor that is the who does the paintings.
What I think about the actor?
Actor, the character, the whole thing.
I don't know about the actor because, again, I don't know him. The character I liked him.
Mm-hmm.
Was sad, but
he puts up
cute.
with a lot.
Yeah.
I mean,
in the beginning, he seems to be just like a rich guy that doesn't really care and stuff. But
I think one thing that I think of with his character that I think Greg Kinnear portrayed really well in it is, well, just how brutal it is to, have like a house robbery happen and have your life basically be shattered in one single moment.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like the way they wrote his character and the plot with it of him essentially losing his livelihood and having to, go home to try to beg for money from his parents. I don't want to comment on that just yet, but I do think of the subject of just how, like you said, you commented how he's seemingly well off from the beginning and you assume he's fine, but all it really takes is one thing to happen. I mean, granted, life changed. I mean, he has to go to the hospital. He almost probably died from it, but it can all be taken away. It can all be taken away in a moment, and as proud as some people are, I'm sure after they achieve money in their lives, it can bring a person down to their most basic human form. And so I think about that with his character and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know if you had a thought on that.
Yeah, I think he did, like, it really shows that life can change too quick.
I also really enjoyed how he...
For both of them, because it's like it changed his life, but it also changed his neighbor life.
Exactly. I actually really like the neighborly aspect to the movie. That eventually comes through.
Yeah.
We should all strive, I think, to just try to be more neighborly to each other. Not just like in our own neighborhoods. A beautiful day in the neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine?
Yes, we should be.
It's a good movie. Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood with Tom Hanks. Check it out now. Okay. Another thing I wanted to touch on with Greg Kinnear, the character Simon. I thought he did an incredible job internalizing the struggle of what it must feel like to be somebody that's gay, but knows what society at the time thinks of him and still is owning it, but not like flaunting it everywhere and like doing everything like that. I just thought he had a really fine line to walk with that, because I don't think playing a character of a different sexuality is easy. So I always actually really commend actors that are able to walk that line and not be offensive to the sex that they're portraying. Yeah. What did you think?
He did it really well. He was, like you said, like, he was gay, you could tell, but was not like, yeah, he was natural.
Yes. I also like Cuba Gooding Jr. in the movie. He's his art dealer friend, the one that tries to... I like the...
Oh, that one is really cool, because he's, like, so sweet and, like, nice, but at the same time... He learned with his grandma to be really tough.
Yeah, he's like, I came from hell, homeboy. It's like, I will mess you up. Yeah. I don't care who you are.
Yeah, I like that.
I admire that in a person. I think we were talking about that recently on a totally different subject, but it is hard to just stand up to people.
Sure, yeah.
Especially people you care about.
Yeah.
I don't know. Not saying I would want to go that far and, like, yank someone out of their apartment when they open the door and, like, put them in a corner. I think it's funny, but still, it's something to be admired. Now, some of the other themes that this movie has is that I feel like it's trying to sort of show people finding love in their lives or ultimately acceptance. You know, you have Jack Nicholson. He's, I think, just wanting to make a genuine connection with someone and make sense of his life amidst all his crazy OCD stuff. Greg Kinnear, he's wanting to be accepted fully for being gay and to be able to support himself through his passion, which is art. Helen, the waitress, she has struggles as being a single mother with a boy that has autoimmune disorders and also just struggling to make a connection with someone as a single mother. Yeah. Which they have that one weird guy that, like, remember, like, that tall kind of douchey guy, and, like, he, like, starts licking her. He, like, licks her head, and he's all upset that he can't just get any action.
Yeah, because the kid is sick and she has to, like, go there, take care of him.
So, just on the subject of, like, finding love and happiness and everything like that, I guess that's probably my favorite part of the movie is that, especially going to Melvin Udall, Jack Nicholson, he's so flawed, and he does things that push people away constantly, and yet he's able to break through almost barely with Helen Hunt's character. And I don't know, I kind of like to ask you, Izola, like, do you think that, you know, like, there's hope for everybody, even, like, people that, you know, treat others badly? Like, do we always just assume they do it because they're just a straight a-hole, or maybe they have things going on in their life? Like, where's the hope, I guess?
I have a strong tendency of trying to understand what's going on with people and to try to think that people are not just mean, that sometimes there is a reason behind, that we are, like, essentially deep inside good things, you know, like a dog, like a cat, like just supposed to be good and supposed to be nice, but because of circumstances or diseases or, like, mental health or whatever, we just are not sometimes. So I don't think I think that there is hope. There is hope. I don't know if we are patient enough to seek for that, and sometimes people are not wanting to change either. So
I think change is actually
because he, like I said in the beginning, he was, like, actively trying to change, although he was failing a lot. Every time, like she said, every time he said I think you said, every time he would try to do something sweet, he would just not know how to do it. So funny, like.
Or it's like he would do something sweet, and then the very next instance, he'd mess it up.
Yeah, yeah.
with
He's
his
trying,
mouth.
but he just doesn't know how to. And it takes time for you to learn to become a good person.
I love how you almost see he's giddy like a kid when he goes on that trip to New Hampshire. And he's like, I got the whole trip programmed. I got it. And, like, he's trying to have fun with it. And he has, like, CDs for all the moods. And I'm like, oh, that's so sweet. It genuinely is.
He did his job the way that he thought he should do.
And actually, I just thought of this because I didn't think about it before. But if we're talking about, like, you touched on change a moment ago, like a person, like, you know, actively wanting to change or maybe not accepting that things are changing. I actually look back at the character Simon again. because his world gets all rocked from a house robbery and being beaten nearly to death and all these different things. But, and this is a spoiler, but again, this movie's been out since 97, so you've had your time. They go on this trip to try to get money from his parents, who has an estranged relationship with to begin with. But then ultimately he ends up coming back from it without the money, without anything, and is just like, no, like, this is where my life is at right now, and I'm going to land on my feet. And if I lose my apartment, if I lose my livelihood, then so be it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought that was beautiful.
Yeah.
I thought that was beautiful because so many people, this relates, I'm sure, to a lot of people out there, but it's like we've all had a family member that has probably fallen on a hard time before, or we know a friend that has, tried to borrow money or things like that. And most of these things aren't talked about openly in public anyway. It's a very sensitive topic with a lot of people, especially if it's between family members. But to actually like just kind of not own up, but just be so letting go and just like accepting and just trusting that somehow I'm going to be okay.
Oh, yeah.
And it might not be in my plan or like what I thought would be the right way, but I'm just going to trust it and it works. And then for him it does because Jack Nicholson, he, rather than trying to have him go look for some other like friend to stay at or something like that, he's like, I got this big apartment. I'm your neighbor. I have a big room right here. Yeah. Bunk up with me for a little bit. Yeah. I'm like, that's wonderful. And then, like, that you can tell, he made sure they took the trouble to set up his room as, like, comfortable for himself so it didn't just feel like he's, like, imposing on him. Yeah. It's so sweet. It can make you cry, honestly. So, anyways, all that sweetness just gets to me because I'm a big softie and at my core. Okay. I got to talk about the quote that I put into the vow of our wedding is... I quoted in our vows, "You make me want to be a better man." I started off the vows actually with that.
As he said, he's a sweet.
I'd like to think so. Now, the reason that moment resonates with me is because I think, one, it just shows a man being truly sensitive and vulnerable as in a moment when it's probably extremely uncomfortable for him to be. And I think that's actually really inspiring for a lot of men to show vulnerability like that and be so open with it. Mm-hmm. But then also, I think it says a lot about humility in a person, that you're not too big to admit that you have problems, but that you could look to somebody, with hope and faith and know that like this person somehow just kind of is going to be there and understand all my shortcomings and everything like that. It makes you want to work harder. It's so beautiful to me, and it's one of my favorite movie quotes. So I had to include movies somewhere, but I wanted to get your thoughts on the quote and then, your thoughts on that.
So I loved the quote when I heard it at the vows, and I was wanting to watch the movie to see where it came from. At the vows, it made sense, and like for me, knowing you and like everything, how much you are always trying to be a better person, it totally makes sense. But then when I watched the movie and when I saw it, it was even more beautiful for me because the circumstances, like you said, like he showed vulnerability on a time where it probably was not even common for a man.
And he had almost blown it the moment before. Yeah. By commenting on her dress.
Yeah, but also that was the second thing that I was going to say. So she asked for a compliment, and that was a compliment that he gave her. And then that's a woman talking. Like, we are always expecting, or at least that's what most men come with, the cliche, like, oh, you are beautiful. Oh, I like your eyes. Oh, I like your hair. Oh, I like your butt. Or I like... And it's not bad to hear that things, but so cliche. So like, oh, really? I have a mirror. I don't need you to say that.
It's also a surface level compliment.
Exactly. So that's what I was going to get there. Like, it's something that you can really be like, wow. So like, I am a human, not
just a woman, because it's above that. Just a human that inspire another human. And that's like our job here. So she could have died right after.
I agree. And I think the moment in the film's handled beautifully. I like that there's actually like a pause or a bit of a break in the moment. They don't just cut the scene right away. They kind of let it breathe for a minute. Very, very good. Lets it resonate with the audience and then the character by Helen Hunt. So I think it's absolutely great. And then I also love, I do love the ending, though some would say that it falls on the corny side because he's, making a mad dash. He's got to go get her before he loses her. It's played to death in so many romantic movies, but I still like that he does it. I like that, he just wants to go on a walk with her just to kind of, give it a shot once again. It's still painful for him, because he has trouble with the sidewalks and walking with the cracks and stuff, but you can still tell that there is a really conscious effort being made. And then I think it's sweet. He takes her to a bakery that has fresh rolls. And I think we talked about that because you didn't know that bakeries would open that early.
I mean, in Brazil, they open really early, but I didn't know they would open that early here. I thought they would start cooking, but not opening.
Well, they're in New York in the movie, so
Yeah,
I'm
it's a
sure
big
that
city.
helps.
Yeah, like they have things going on 24/7.
All right, final thoughts on As Good as It Gets before we move into part 2 of this podcast, which is all wedding breakdown, or just wedding breakdown.
We kind of gave some spoiler with Nicole.
A little bit.
So you want my final thoughts?
On just the movie, yeah.
I
know you didn't, love it. I think you appreciated it.
I appreciated it. I can see why someone like Jordan really likes it. And, I think people would like. It's just hard for me because I have trouble concentrating. And it's more slow, in the slow kind, I would say.
It's a character-focused movie.
Yeah. So, and it's kind of slow. I don't know how to explain. There's not a lot of, big emotion moments that make your heart beat and accelerate and kind of keep you, what's next kind of thing. So, it's really, the feelings throughout the movie is kind of stable. It has some ups, but not, a lot. Anyway, but I like it, the movie, and I like it talking about it too with you, because I'm kind of lazy, people, so I watch the movie, and after watching, I just want to, okay, bye, done. Let's move on in life. And, Jordan, right after, starts asking me questions about the movie, and I'm like, hey, it was fine. And then I'm just, want to stop talking about it and go to bed. But after a while, when, you say, you sleep on it and just, kind of think about it and, talk with someone that has thought more about the movie than you kind of see things that you didn't see. So I appreciated our talk about that.
I would say that I'm not saying I think this way on As Good as It Gets, but you did touch on how there are certain movies where you might watch it and be like, yeah, it was pretty good. And then you just kind of, walk away from it. And then you let it gestate a little bit and you think about it and you're like, oh, okay, there were some little things. I've certainly seen movies like that. For me, this movie isn't like that. I just think there's a lot I was able to pick up on right away. Jack Nicholson is, he really rises to the top for me in this movie. It's one of my favorite performances by him. This also, I think, comes from the person in a lens that I've seen a lot of his body of work prior to that. I mean, granted, the movie was in 97, but hey, I've been alive since 91, so I saw Jack Nicholson movies when I was a kid. I did. And I'd since seen movies after the fact. I didn't see it right when it came out in 97. But the point is that I had other movies to compare it with, and so that helped. I also really appreciated it just strictly from a writing perspective. I thought all the characters in the movie, while not being many, are very well fleshed out. They feel like individuals. They feel lived in.
I like it that they didn't have a lot of people.
No. I actually think I told you before that I could see, this movie feels very much like a stage play, almost in a way, because it is set with a very, finite amount of characters. they're not in too many different settings. So if a stage production ever wanted to try to do like a Broadway version of this, I actually would probably eat it up and watch it. Though I'm sure any actor would be terrified to try to fill the shoes of Jack Nicholson because that's a pretty tough act to follow. But anyways, last thing I'll say about the movie is that I think it's endearing. I think it's a movie that, like Izola said, it might not have like super high ups or super high downs, but it has just a really solid center to it. Mm-hmm. And there's just lots of moments where you might not like openly like ha 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 laugh, but you'll still smile or chuckle and be like, oh, that was clever. And there's just a lot of moments like that peppered throughout the movie that to me stand the test of time and stick. And that's why to me this movie is a classic. It's a romantic comedy classic in my opinion. And I definitely think if you haven't seen it by this point, it's definitely worth seeing. But all that said, I think it's time that we talk about our wedding. Let's get personal. Let's do this. We're married.
Yeah.
Officially, sacramentally, not just on paper.
That's the real deal now.
I was joking with him before the church wedding that if he wanted to divorce, we would just go to the court. But now if he wants to divorce, we will go to hell. So it's a little bit harder to get rid of me now.
So I want to go way back on this. I'm not going to go crazy, but I want to go back first on the thought of marriage.
Oh my God.
But like before you met me, before anything like that, did you always want to get married?
For a long time in my life, I didn't. I mean, a long time. Seems like I'm 100. When I think like
102, maybe, right?
When I think until like 15-ish, I didn't. Because I saw a lot of failed marriages and I thought every marriage would be a failure. So I didn't. But then I fell in love with someone and then what I thought it was love anyway. So I was like hoping to build a family, and I also met a couple families that were good families and that worked it out and marriages and stuff. So I started having hopes that I would maybe be able to find someone that would make marriage be worth it. So yeah, I guess that's how I felt before.
Did you on the side of that, like, did you
what
ever?
What about you? You have to answer.
Well, what was my question? See, my memory's terrible.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I know the question. I know the question. I think I always thought I wanted to be married from an early age. I think there may have been a time in my life where I was just sort of open to whatever the possibility was. Like if I was single for forever, then so be it. I didn't have a lot of luck with women growing up. Quite frankly, like my first real girlfriend wasn't until like my technically third year of college. So I would say I was a late bloomer on that front. So I didn't really have high hopes, but I think I always wanted to. Mm-hmm. Now my other question I had for you though was outside of like the do I want to be married or don't want to be, assuming you did, because I think you did. What was your thought on like the wedding itself? Because I feel like, at least from a guy, we always hear that women are always thinking about their dress from an early age. They're always sort of planning things out in their heads. I didn't know if you had expectations of the day and everything like that.
No, I didn't have a lot of, I know, like you said, I know people that knew like everything that they wanted, how they wanted, like the readings, like everything. I didn't. The only thing I thought about was like just hoping I would find someone that would be like good enough for marriage, like that would be a good man and a good husband. But the wedding itself, I didn't like, that even like I didn't even know if I wanted to have like the celebration, not celebration, the reception and stuff. I knew I want to have the ceremony and the religious part of it. I knew I wanted that, but I didn't know about the rest of it. So
why didn't you know?
I don't know. I didn't know if it would be like necessary, but I'm glad we did.
I mean, is it strictly money?
No, was not. I think it's just It's just.
She keeps trying to pick my face.
I was trying to clean. I think that
She's
was
been
on
trying.
your forehead.
She's been trying to do it for 20 minutes now, folks, and I'm trying to like mouth at the mic. I'm like, please stop doing that while I'm recording.
I was not speaking. That was off. I mean, I was, but then I stopped, and that was off.
I love the contradiction. I wasn't doing it, but I totally was. Stop doing it.
Stop. I was picking him, and then I stopped because he got
Can you not
mad.
focus enough on just the conversation?
But then he had a black thing on his head, and I was trying to.
I just got assaulted. She just slapped my freaking head.
I was trying to clean it.
Stop.
See, people, marriage is so good. Get married. It's great.
It has to be off. You've just rubbed it off my face like 5 times.
Wait, people,
Do it,
excuse
fine.
me.
Get in freaking intermission,
It's
because
clean.
oh my
It's
god.
Okay, go ahead.
Can you focus?
Are you editing this part?
No, I'm not. I'm keeping it in. This is real. I'm keeping it in. It was insane. Like, her eyes kept going up to my forehead like I'm talking, and I'm like, I don't think you're fully listening.
Because there was a black thing on your forehead. Anyway.
Easily distractible. Jeez.
I told them I'm hard to concentrate. Sorry.
All right, let's test your memory. What were we just talking about?
I was saying that I don't know why it was not only about money. Of course, maybe it was also, but like, not only. I think it's more because like the party is not like was not as important to me as stop, Jordan. The party wasn't as important to me as the ceremony and as the marriage itself. It's just like it's a big thing, it's a big moment, it's a big day.
Yeah.
But on the big scheme of thing is nothing.
Yeah. I think for myself, like, just strictly on like the cosmetic front, you know, the outfits and the decorations and all that stuff, I certainly fall under more of the guy category, where we don't ask any guy out there. They might try to give you a line and just be like, oh yeah, I really did care about the head table and the flowers. Great. I'm sure you did. Here's what I cared about. I cared about getting married. I cared about it being with the people in my life that are most important to me. And like you, I cared about the spiritual side. Everything else between that, it's just sort of, I'm sure it'll look nice, and if it's not perfect, whatever, but we'll just kind of figure it out. And I can certainly tell you, especially early on in the planning process, once we started getting into it, I did have more expectation. But then as the process continued, and you just get swamped into the details, and so many details that you don't even realize, and you're just like, I don't really even know if I care about this at this point, because I'm just tired because I've worked all day and I'm now having to deal with all this. There were so many things I felt towards the end of it that just ultimately didn't matter in the end, that I thought would. So I was surprised about that. But we have been planning this wedding since, I would say it really started when you came here in February of 2022.
Yeah.
Like, actively started. Like, we knew about it before.
I mean, we started working on this religious part when I was in Brazil and like doing the meetings with our priest and everything. So,
But like planning the actual day and like what was going to happen, where, when, like February this year. So basically 6 months, which is not usual.
Do you remember what the first step in our planning was? Like,
Find the place.
That was the very first place.
No, we
like
decided
the
the church. No, we decided the church and the priest, and then the venue.
Yeah, the venue was definitely the earlier one, and that was one piece of advice I know we received from a few people, is that once you sort of lock that in, the rest is not easy, but it eliminates some of the difficulty, because you just know ultimately where it's going to be. Like, you lock a day, you get the venue, you book that. The rest of it, you just kind of have to fill it in.
Yeah, because once you lock the venue, you rent the venue, you just get to know details about the venue, and like then they will kind of guide you. Like, do you need to have like bakery from somewhere? Do you need to have bar from somewhere? Do you need to have the buffet from somewhere? Like, so
Yeah, and I mean, I'm just gonna try to rapid fire all the details that I remember going through. But you talked about the venue. There's the church. There's the floral arrangements. There's the cake. There's our outfits. There's the manner.
DJ.
Yeah, there's the DJ. There's the. We were lucky enough to have an event manager that was included with where we did the venue at. So that was a piece of it because we had to have meetings with them. Talking about the food, how the tables were going to be arranged, where like the guest book's going to be, how we want the guest book to be even. Then there's like just the manner of like the bridal shower, and there's a bachelor party. There's the rehearsal dinner. There's details with that, and I'm what?
It's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. I'm not even saying all of it. I know there's more.
Yeah.
There's the invitations.
Yeah.
There was a website that we had to build.
Dessert.
Appetizers. Yeah. I'm trying to think of one more thing to add, and I can't think of why.
Photographer.
No, I already said the photographer. I can't think of it. If it comes to me, I'll have to bring it up. But all the planning aside, we got married on.
When, Jordan?
I'm asking you. I asked you the question first.
I know. You are the one that have no memory, so I'm testing you.
September 24th.
Which year?
Of this year. What did you think I was going to say? 1991? When I was born, little baby?
Yeah.
No.
Good job.
So between February and that, we got all that done. And I would say, all things considered,
We did well.
yeah. I mean, I don't want to like be like egotistical and give myself a pat on the back, but all things considered,
you can give myself because I did most.
she definitely handled more of the details. Oh, that's the thing I remember as far as another detail. Well, the registry.
Ah, yeah.
The registry is a freaking piece of work. And the guest list. Ooh.
Oh.
I want to
That is where the fights come.
Let's touch on that guest list for a second, because that is definitely something that I don't think some couples are probably honest with each other about, is the actual real arguments that'll likely come up in the process. I think if you
unless you have unlimited money.
Yeah, and because that's the thing. Most arguments, people like to say like, oh, it's just we don't agree on inviting this person or that decoration. Bull. It all comes down to money. Everything that you do at the wedding is a cost, and right down to the person that you invite, they're a cost. One person's like $40 or however much it is.
A lot more than that, but
Right, but you understand my point, is that every single person is a cost. And so on the subject of the guest list, that was one of the challenges I had at first, because my list, I would still argue it wasn't big. Now, of course, you have to be reasonable with money, but like I think of the list that we had at first was like, I don't know, like, no, oh no, God.
yes, it was.
No, that's not true. That's not true. The very first list I had was around 125 people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It was around 125 people, and, we looked at it, and, like,
And then I want to die.
She kind of lost her patience with me. It was going like, oh, my God, like, it's too big. And, like, I was just like, hey, this is the draft. This isn't final. So relax, because we're going to make cuts. So, like, don't worry about it. And then that's challenging, though, because you think that stuff doesn't matter. You're like, well, like, it doesn't really matter, like, all the people that are there. But I think even for someone like myself, it's like, I'm not that popular. And the list was larger than even I thought, because I know more people than I think I do, if that makes sense. You think you don't, but then you start going through your mind and like you start really like writing these names down and adding them. You're just like, okay, oh, yep, I want them. Oh, yep, them, and them, and them, and them. And none of this was even including your family.
Yeah, that's what I was like. What? Too much.
I was good. I know, but we worked it out and did it. So let's talk about our days.
What do you mean?
Our days of the wedding. Like, I want to talk about our perspectives, because we did the classic thing where the night before I slept in the wedding suite that we were at, because this was at a hotel. Izola stayed with her matron of honor, and God, it wasn't your mom in the room too?
And my mom, yeah.
Yes. So I thought we could talk about our perspectives from the morning that we woke up for the wedding to the moment that we got together at the altar. Start with you.
Oh my gosh.
We stayed in different rooms in the same floor though, but in different rooms, and like I remember that I was just hoping I could get a good night of sleep. I went to the bedroom. I just like went to bed kind of as early as I could. I don't remember what time, but I think like 11 ish. We just went to bed, all of us, because we knew we would. I had to be on the hair appointment at 8:30 on the other day, so I was like just trying to sleep early. I didn't sleep really well, but I slept with my mom, so it was kind of cute to just share the bed with her and like hug her the first thing as I woke up and like started getting ready to go to the hair appointment. Should I just say the whole thing before?
Everything.
Okay.
Details.
I went to the hair appointment. We were supposed to be there at 8. No, at 8:30, and we got there like 8:10. We just got there, like they started. My friend Chris was there, and my maid of honor was with me. Her husband went to get us breakfast, and we stayed there. We started getting ready. The lady started doing my hair, and the breakfast came, so I ate, and I was feeling really calm and really good at that point. I wasn't stressed, I wasn't worried, I wasn't anxious, I was just fine. Totally fine. I was impressed how fine I was. Then I went back to the hotel and then where I was going to have my makeup done and finish getting ready. So I did start my makeup after my mom was done. I started doing my makeup. I mean, the lady started doing my makeup. And then we had some mimosas and like was there my mom, Jordan's mom, my maid of honor, my friend Chris, the makeup girl, and Andy, like my maid of honor's husband, was there. Like he was, I said that he was the best man of the bride. So he was kind of like my best man because he was just helping us with everything. So he was there taking care of everything that we needed, taking care of my mom too, who doesn't speak English. So like they were assisting her with everything, like breakfast, medication that she needed, everything, while I was like just kind of focusing on myself, being selfish for that one day. And yeah, so I was really calm, everything was going really smooth and beautiful until my maid of honor accidentally burned my veil. And that was like a really hard moment for all of us. I kind of freaked out, I cried, like I tried to control my reaction because I knew she didn't do it because she wanted to. Like, she was trying to help, but I couldn't control because my veil was really important for me. But, like, her and her husband just acted on it and they literally bought me a new veil on the day of my wedding. And it was actually the veil that I wanted. Like, because I have tried the veil that they actually bought for the wedding day. I have tried it before. I didn't buy it because I decided to buy the dress in another place, so I just bought the veil too in another place. But then when I saw that they got like the veil that I really wanted, after all, I was just like, I just felt grateful when like everything happens for a reason, you know. I guess I needed to have that veil. And then like my poor maid of honor like started crying. She was stressed out by the facts. But as my mother-in-law said, she says that like one thing has to go wrong. So I was glad that was the thing that went wrong because it was fixed. And after that, everything went smooth again. And I think it also just was a way to strengthen my relationship with my maid of honor because like I literally saw her like doing the best she could to make sure I had what I wanted to have on that day. So if I start talking about her and her husband, my best man, if I start talking about them, like we will be a whole podcast just about them because they were like awesome with us and like the wedding would not have happened without them. It was just like perfect. It was just perfect. And they made it be. As I told them, they were like, God was present, but and God like used them because I could just feel feel God and hear God and like see God's hands through them. So through their actions. So it was really good. I felt really blessed to have them. So after the veil incident, we kind of like missed some time because like I was doing my makeup and then I started crying. So I had to stop doing my makeup and get myself back together. And then when I finally got myself back together, we finished my makeup. But then we were like, we felt a lot of time. So we kind of had to rush to go to get ready, finish getting ready, taking the pictures, and going to the church. So I was going to put the dress on the hotel, but I ended up putting the dress in the church just because we didn't have time anymore. So, but it was not like bad. Like we were on time, a little bit late, but basically on time. And like when we got to the church, I was not on the dress yet, but I was ready. So, we were like kind of trying to hide from Jordan, so it was kind of fun, like kind of funny too. Like we got through the back door and like we had the priest come and open the door for us. It felt like it's just kind of funny, like we were hiding, and it's really cute actually because we had to walk through doors of the church that I have never even imagined existed. It was kind of cool to get to the bridal room without having anybody see me. It was kind of hard. Yeah, but we made that happen. I finished getting my dress. I got my bouquet. It was really nice to see my bouquet for the first time because I just loved it. The floral did a really good job with the bouquets and especially with mine. And yeah, so I finally got ready. And then I heard that Jordan was not yet up there waiting for me. I'm like, what the hell? Where's the husband? Find the husband and make sure the groom is ready and ask him to go up there. And my maid of honor also and again went there and made it happen. She was just like, you better go upstairs and wait for her up there because she's ready. So yeah, I will let you say your part until you saw me walking down the aisle.
I'm trying to think. So I'll just start with the night before because I think that's where you had started with basically saying like where you were sleeping and whatnot. I know how I was feeling the night before. It wasn't on the same level as you. I actually was, I don't know if stress is the right word, but I think I was overloaded. And this is a part of my personality that not everybody is honestly aware of. I don't really talk about it that much because even it surprises me sometimes. I'm a pretty social person. Clearly, I have a podcast where I talk, hopefully talk with people, not just myself. I talk a lot in my day job and do stuff, but I think like everything leading up to the wedding with like family coming to town and like people kind of fussing over like last details and everyone trying to get everything right, I was pretty well overloaded when it came to like just everything. Like, not like I would be like snappy or like snap at somebody, but when I get to places like that, I honest to God just want to be left alone because I need that space to myself sometimes just to be able to process, feel like I have some time to myself to, to just be, and not be pulled in a bunch of different directions. It's important. And so the timing of that was good because, the night before the rehearsal dinner, I actually was looking forward to being alone. I honest to God was, not that I wasn't excited to be with the love of my life and be married. But I was happy to be alone that night. And it was good because I was able to just go up to our wedding suite, our master bath in there. There was like a jacuzzi thing in there, not like one of those like heart-shaped jacuzzi tubs, nothing weird like that, but just a normal tub. And so I drew myself a bath. I think I had a beer. It was an Easy Eddie, I want to say. I just had it by the bathtub and no music or anything really. I just kind of soaked and I just sat with my thoughts, basically, just trying to think of everything. Like, did I miss anything? Is everybody where they need to be? I was just kind of mulling over last minute details in the tub. But then I also was trying to quiet my mind too a little bit. so that, I don't know really how long that took. I don't take baths actually for very long. I was in it for maybe like 10, 15 minutes tops because I keep the tub hot. I like to burn. I like to cook a little bit. So it means I don't need to do it that long. But anyways, that said, I get out, and then I knew like at that point my mind was like still racing, but I'm like I knew I had a full day ahead of me, so I'm like I better go to sleep. So I go in bed, and honestly I slept horribly. I did. I slept absolutely terribly because my mind just couldn't switch off. It wouldn't switch off. I was thinking of the weight of it all, and like, this is the wedding. I know like I'd signed the legal paperwork before because of her immigrant situation and whatnot, but that to me wasn't marriage. That was just satisfying the state and our government. Marriage is doing it before God in front of our friends and family and witness, like the whole production, like that's marriage. So I'm thinking about all that, and just naturally I couldn't sleep. I think that night I maybe got all of like, honestly, maybe 4 hours of sleep, if that. And that's push.
Terrible.
It's terrible. And then more stressful on me is when I did get up in the morning. It was probably like 7:15, I want to say. I showered and stuff, but like if you sleep like crap the night before, if you're sleep deprived, you know it. If you've ever been sleep deprived once, you'll know what that feels like again. Your eyes just feel kind of heavy. You feel a little almost grimy. You just don't feel all collected in yourself. You're not thinking as clear. And so I definitely felt that. And so I got freaked out a little bit because I was like, oh, geez. I'm like, I have a whole like big day ahead of me. Like, we have this whole reception planned out. I can't like just like, how you can't like go to the reception and then be like, it's like 7:30 and be like, okay guys, I'm tired, I'm gonna go to bed. I'm like, she will kill me. She will leave me immediately if that happens. So I was a little nervous for that. But then luckily I remembered that Andy, which is Izola's
best man.
well, yeah, so Izola calls her Izola calls him her best man. That's throwing me off. But he had gotten me a Red Bull the night before because he remembered that I said that I like Red Bull. He was being nice. He gave it to me. So I'm like, oh, thank God. So he gave me Red Bull. I had that, went down and had hotel breakfast. I actually felt lonely at first because it was just me at first. I think I told my groomsmen.
You see me already?
Yes. Yes, I was. But not necessarily that. I was a little peeved at my best man, to be perfectly honest, at that moment, because he was running late, and I was like, Jesus, I'm like, it's my wedding day. You couldn't make an effort to be on time. I admit I was getting kind of salty about that, but then I saw my mom and her sister, my aunt. They happened to be down there. They're like, oh, should we like see you? And I was like, yeah, it's fine. I'm like, just come sit, like have breakfast. It's fine. You guys can see me. So then they showed up, and then eventually my best man showed up. One of my groomsmen showed up. The other ones were on the way, so people were coming, and then I was having enough coffee and waffles and eggs, and it was a buffet style, so I stuffed my face. But then, we're just trying to kind of figure out, like, okay, like, what do we do? And I knew that a couple of them were still on the way. So I was like, let's just go back up to my wedding suite. I don't really know. I don't think we're supposed to go to, like, the get ready room just yet, where, like, the photographer is going to take pictures of us pretending to get ready. And I say pretending to get ready because, let's be real, people, it's not actually getting ready. He's not going to see me put my underwear on and my socks and my pants. Like, he just sees me do final touches. So when they say get ready, it's a little deceptive. It's more pose after you're ready. That's
Why you are getting ready?
sort of, because they don't get me shaving. They don't get me doing my hair.
Jordan.
But that's getting ready.
But not all of it, but some.
Modify that description, people. That's what I'm saying.